Welcome to the Wealth Doctor radio show, and this is John Jamieson, your Wealth Doctor, and host for the show. We show people alternative ways to create wealth and protect wealth. If you're looking for standard old mutual funds and stocks and 401ks and all that other garbage, you're in the wrong spot. We're going to show you alternative ways, secret ways that only wealthy institutions and wealthy families know about. Has been rarely shared with the general public until now. That's what this show focuses on. I've been in business myself for over 23 years, created many successful businesses from nothing more than an idea and a plan after that. And that's what we show people how to do, is to create those things in their own life. We show people how to turn investments into high cash flowing machines. And in my time of being able to speak all over the country, run across many of the top people in their fields from all over the country. And I have one on the show with me today. Her name is Mrs. Christy Harris. And Christy is a national expert on investing in mobile home parks and investing in single-family homes. Christy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, John.
I'm glad you could make it. This is, as you know, a notoriously male-dominated place that we're in when it comes to investments and training people. There's very few women in the field, and as a matter of fact, I'm ashamed to say it only because I didn't have anyone else to interview. You're the first woman I've had on the show, so congratulations on being a barn burner.
Well, thank you. It's definitely good to be the first person on. I'll tell you, I get that question a lot from people throughout the real estate industry. Their first question is, do you have problems approaching people on selling and buying property because you're a female? And a lot of times I say, and I think it kind of puts you at the upper end because you are. There's not a lot of females that do it. Most are agents. So
no, you're right.
Agents only.
You're right. Yeah, it's funny. The real estate sales industry, because I've been in that for a long time as well, that's very much dominated by women.
I think there's more women coming into the industry now, seeing that, which is really cool to see. We're pioneering in.
Absolutely, you are one of the pioneers. Well, especially in the real estate investment world and in the training world. It used to be real estate agents were thought of as kind of part-time. It's a great job to have if you're going to be home with the kids, and all that's true. It does have some flexibility with it, but it became very much when people realized the money that was involved. A lot of women made it their careers and have been very successful with it. But when you go into the real estate investment world, or the training community of how to train people to do different things, there's just not that many women involved. And with ladies like you coming along, I'm sure that's going to change. So welcome to the show.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. I'm glad to be here.
All right, Christy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Listeners who come on this show are looking for stories of people and where they started, kind of the bumps and bruises, some of the successes. So take a couple minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. I've been investing for a little over 7 years now, and I pretty much started like everyone else did, actually through the seminar format, so just educating myself more and learning and reading. But then what I found, obviously, is you can read a lot, but you have to actually go out and take action, and that's what I did, and I started investing in single-family homes, which most people do. I started flipping and wholesaling, which was very lucrative, and I was making money in that, but I started looking at, okay, it's great to do the flipping and the wholesaling, but what else can I do, and how can I start generating some passive income? And
Sure.
I started purchasing single-family homes along the way, which were doing well for me, but I was in my 20s then and was edging up to my 30s and thought, how could I ramp this up and really start acquiring more property? And I fell upon mobile homes, and that's really where I started to see the cash flow and the passive income pick up, and not a lot of people know about that. And as you said, there's not a lot of women in the business, but especially in the mobile home business, it's very rare to find women doing the business there. And I just found for the price that you could put into the mobile homes and what you could get out of it and buying parks, it was really one of the best return on investments.
All right, so a lot of our listeners are going to understand what we teach is the 5 baskets of wealth, and one of those baskets of wealth is the investment basket. Now, unfortunately, most people, that's all they know is the investment basket, and when all you know the investment basket, you're out of balance. And if the investment goes down, goes against you, as we all know that real estate did in 07 and 08, I took it on the chin. I know you took it on part of the chin. A lot of people we knew took it on the chin. So we show people a balanced approach to wealth creation. But if you're going to talk about the investment basket, and that's what we're talking about today, before we go into mobile homes, you mentioned a couple terms that, of course, I'm familiar with, and some of my listeners will be familiar with, but some won't. You said, I made some money wholesaling, in wholesaling a house. Tell me, what's wholesaling a house? Explain it to our listeners.
Absolutely. That's really looking for property that is below market value, that can be distressed, and basically you're finding sellers that are highly motivated So you're finding the seller, putting it under contract. You're more so, I'll say, the middleman, like a glorified realtor, but you don't need your license to do it. But instead of being a realtor and making a very little commission, you're making a profit on that. And then you're selling it off to the end buyer. So you're basically the in-between between the deal, which, as you know, there's so much distressed property out there now and people looking for opportunity. And I find a lot of people say, hey, I know where all the deals are and I don't have the money to do it. Or they say, I've got the money to do it, but I don't know where the deals are. So as a wholesaler, you can make a really lucrative business putting the two together and just with the knowledge of knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, what it boils down to is you're basically a bird dog. You know, usually you've got some time and you've got some knowledge, and because that's how I started out in business as well. And I had the time and the knowledge, but didn't really have the money. So I would go out there and find the deals and bring them to people that had some money. And, I would take a portion of the deal. And what I started doing later on, once I got a little bit more sophisticated, is instead of just wholesaling it, I would wholesale it, but I'd wholesale it to a person who was my partner. And so I might wholesale it into the partnership for $5,000 that I kept for myself. And then I stayed in the deal. So if we would go through and rehab it with the partner's money, we'd rehab it. And if we made $20,000, I would take half of that as well. So I was taking a wholesale fee up front to wholesale it into the partnership, and then I was taking half on the partnership, and the partner 100% knew it. It was totally above board. They were thrilled to death because they put up a very little bit of money.